oh, women don't act like that. Women don't sound like that. Women don't look like that. So you're not a woman because of these things. A lot of trans people fall for that rhetoric because they are being shamed constantly for these things, and then they internalize it and then they project it onto others. When I post like a video and I talk about like the awful tweets that I get, or like the comments, and like addressing videos about me, I often get asked why I continue doing that. Why do I bother? And I think it's important to speak up because you never know who's listening and who's willing to hear you out. A lot of people aren't transphobic because that's just who they are as a person. It's mainly because their environment is telling them a certain narrative, feeding them a certain narrative, and the alternative is just not being handed to them. They're just not being like educated properly enough. And if you don't dismantle the reasoning and like the arguments of people in that sphere, you're just like, no, trans women are just women. You either accept that or you're transphobic, and you don't explain why. You're not really reaching people who can be saved by educating them. You speak up because you're committing the sin of empathy. Yeah, I don't know, it's probably something Jewish, right? Not about convincing them, it's about convincing the person reading the reply thread. Exactly. I don't agree necessarily with like sitting on Twitter and like just continuously engaging and arguing with like one person, especially in like my replies or like YouTube comment section. That's even more just useless. But what I do, for example, is like how I build my platform, why I do have crazy Twitter cloud, is because I engage with these arguments. I took like a screenshot of certain things and then I just like added my 2 cents to it. I just posted about like how you know, despite all the harassment, I am happier. I'm sharing the things that I've been going through. I talk about like how conversion therapy doesn't work, and it gets a lot of likes, and it gets boosted, and more people like realize it. And then I have like people.
Shut the fuck up, bitch.
Okay. So anyway, I tweet about these things, and I've been growing my platform on Twitter a lot through that. I don't want to do these things on Blue Sky because there's no point on, you know, doing it on Blue Sky, because what I do wouldn't work over there because the people in my bubble already agree with the things. So there's like no point. That's why I'm like on Twitter, and I'm like a presence on Twitter because Twitter is also like a way bigger than Blue Sky. And I get like a lot of hatred for it. Obviously, I'm making myself a target because the overwhelming majority of people are conservative, right-wing, and the algorithm just like boosts these things. Transphobia and so on is boosted because Elon Musk. But I'm not like sitting in the replies and like continuously arguing. I'm basically just like quoting them or like screenshotting them. Then I turn it into YouTube content. And someone else who is not chronically online on Twitter, but also hears, you know, these right-wing talking points and so on through, I don't know, TikTok shorts and Instagram reels and so on, are able to like see what I engage with. They can like resonate with the arguments that they're hearing. And if they are open-minded enough to think and listen to my explanations why that talking point is wrong, then they might change their mind. And then I get comments like this. I'm going to be completely honest here. I used to be an incel transphobe. I wasn't actively hateful, but I also didn't care to educate myself. I just saw the things other people said and assumed it was true. I thought it wasn't natural, and that trans identity was just a byproduct of mental illness, which is why I didn't hate the people themselves. I saw you guys as victims of yourself, only to realize that wasn't exactly the full story. I've killed the old me, but he still has his death throes. Nodding out. I love it. I catch myself getting put off at first impression, but I know that's just my pattern recognition still clinging to my own mindset. To combat this, I've been forcing myself into cognitive dissonance more and more by actually engaging in content like yours and educating myself. Every time you bring up a point I myself have had in my head, because I never really engaged online or in person, it makes me pause the video and reevaluate it, so thank you. I'm sorry for being so close-minded. Being open-minded has honestly just made me a more positive person overall. I'll be doing more to spread peace, love, and joy with everyone. It means so much to me. It helps so much. And like, you don't have to apologize for not actually reevaluating your stance as soon as you hear it. If your environment keeps telling you one thing, you're going to believe it at some point, especially if people you trust say these things. And if like the alternative is not being offered, a lot of people don't know a trans person in real life. They don't know anyone who's like actually affected by the rhetoric. And a lot of people, even if they do know a trans person, they go, yeah, but like you're not like the other trans people. You're one of the good ones. Which is also just like based on transphobia to like assume that what you hear in the media applies to the whole community. And then the one who is close to you is just the exception. That is also transphobia. And I wish people would like realize that. Like, I have so many people like, you never denounce like the bad trans people. You never denounce the evil trans people. And it's like, I do. I just like don't see a point in going on here and roasting Lilly Tino for, I don't know, photographing herself in Disney World bathrooms. Like, I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, we trans people don't claim, because I don't speak for the whole trans community. There are a lot of trans people who actually don't like what I do. A lot of trans people are out there, and a lot of trans people also fall for like the conservative lies. There are a lot of trans people who are like, well, you don't sound like a woman enough, so you don't deserve to be called she, her. You're just like a feminine man. You gotta put in more effort, because they are being shamed themselves by the environment for not fulfilling the harmful beauty expectations that society has for women. Oh, women don't act like that. Women don't sound like that. Women don't look like that. So you're not a woman because of these things. A lot of trans people fall for that rhetoric because they are being shamed constantly for these things, and then they internalize it and then they project it onto others. They're like, well, why do you, trans woman, get to call yourself a woman? But I get constantly invalidated, so I have to invalidate you as well. And it's like, girl, I constantly get invalidated for literally anything I do by these people. But I'm not going to appeal to fascists who don't want me to live to begin with. Why would I do that? Why would I just like waste energy on just like trying to shove myself into a neat, tidy little box, be as small and quiet as possible, and just like do everything that these people expect of me just so I get seen as like one of the good ones, and then I get like referred to with she, her pronouns by like some right winger, and then I get like some joy out of it. What would be the point? They don't want me to have gender affirming care to begin with. They hate on me for having had bottom surgery. Like, what the f? And then people, these right wingers, use these trans people who have been indoctrinated like that, who have been shamed for these things, and they're like pointing at them and using them as an example in order to invalidate me. They're like, well, Blaire White is one of the good ones. Blaire White says how the trans community actually is. Why do you never hear out of Blaire White? And it's like, Blaire White is a conservative shill, just like a sock puppet, and is being funded by conservatives to push the same talking points, the same fascist talking points that are being used in order to like justify the erasure of trans people in the UK and so on. Why would I entertain that? And then they're like, well, but like you have no issues denouncing these trans people, but never about the trans people who are in your community doing bad stuff. I do it constantly. I'm just not as vocal about it because there's no point. Lilly Tino is not the reason why fascists are taking away our rights. Lilly Tino is doing stuff for attention. I don't know, just being controversial as possible. I don't know what she gets out of it. I don't know what she gets out of the constant videos about getting misgendered once and then like freaking out, asking the managers and so on. Like, a lot of trans people just don't do that. A lot of trans people don't film themselves going into restaurants, waiting to get misgendered and then unloading and then posting it online. Christians are not even shaming their pastors who are abusing children. Why should I sit here and be out here and just like unloading on people like Lilly Tino? Like, what the is the point? This gaslight victim agrees with me, so it means I'm right. Exactly. Yeah. I'm ashamed I used to watch Blaire White and agreed. When I learned about trans people, I always thought that I was one of the good ones. I knew that I will never be like a real woman, right? I would want to be a girl, and I would want to be a real girl and do all the girl stuff and be a real girl. But like, I can never be, because I was born male. Obviously, I know that. I'm not like the other trans people, the weird trans people who are just like thinking that like gender is like a spectrum and something other than sex. No. That's like weird. I fell for that myself. You know what helped me? Educating myself. Of course, 17, 18-year-old me had no idea what was going on. Of course I fell for that pipeline because I didn't have like a fundamental understanding of the topic. Transphobes keep labeling Lilly Tino as an example of trans activists. Did it ever occur to them that maybe it's because Lilly isn't a fucking activist and an annoying, arrogant internet troll? Yeah, she's literally just like causing controversies in order to get clout of it. Oh, she's making the entire community look bad. That's what these people say about me as well, by the way. You know, just so you know, these people are also pointing the finger at me and being like, oh, you make the entire community look bad. And then they turn around and then they're like, well, trans people actually don't exist. So me being transphobic is actually not the case. We should eradicate all the trans people because it's just mental illness anyway. Lilly Tino is a perfect litmus test to see who's actually an ally. Depending on how they're reacting to her behavior, if they're intentionally misgendering her, it kind of shows that they don't see you as a gender, but simply memorize your pronouns. If they say she's problematic as regardless of her gender, while still using correct pronouns, it shows they're still respecting her pronouns and gender identity without blindly approving of her actions, because a lot of them are rage bait. Yeah, there's like no point in me, for example, just like starting to misgender Lilly Tino and taking the trans label away. You don't deserve to be a trans woman because you make other trans women look bad, because it's like, it would cause so many more issues because these people, you know, invalidate me as well. And it would give these fascists control who is a trans woman, who is trans to begin with. And these people don't want anyone to be trans. But yeah, like somebody is going to change their mind. That is why you gotta keep speaking up. You gotta keep being vocal. I had someone slide into my DMs today being like, oh, I replied to one of your tweets and I got a lot of grape threats. I was like, Jesus. You replied to one of my tweets and the fascists, the right-wingers sent you grave threats? That's insane. I'm so sorry. And they were like, well, yeah, it's not your fault. I'm just not going to reply to your tweets anymore. And it's like, you shouldn't be silent just because of these people. Don't let these people bully you into silence. Speak up. If you have something to say, say it. And if people are going to use that as a justification to harass you, block them. Like, obviously, I'm not forcing yourself to get into, like, these situations if you're not comfortable with, but if you have the urge to actually, like, say something, but the pushback is just, like, too much for you to handle, I get it. I don't want you to get into a position where you're, like, actually affected. But don't stay silent just because these people are, you know, ruthless and monsters, because it's important for people to speak up. It's also an impossible standard. All demographics will have bad people. By demanding a demographic to be sinless as a prerequisite for societal acceptance, it's a deliberate, impossible standard to justify not accepting the demographic. Yeah, these people say that about, like, black people. Be loud and proud. Our open existence is the best resistance. Real. Exactly. Staying silent won't work in the long term, because they will come for you eventually. It doesn't matter if you provoke them or not. Yeah, exactly. Of course, I'm making myself a bigger target because I have a platform, because I keep speaking up, and because I keep growing. That is what throws them off the most, is that I keep growing. Because I have another tweet blow up and another tweet blow up. Because I tweet way too much. Of course, they will fixate on me. But they are also giving the same treatment to someone who just has, like, I don't know, 300 followers and replies to one of my tweets. I get DMs like this. You're not gonna be a successful VTuber, little bro. Go back to pecking McDonald's. Wait, that's the first time I have someone tell me that I'm not going to be a successful VTuber. Usually just people call me, like, I don't know, or something. Tweet and stream way too few. But then again, I sometimes can't even stay awake for 4 hours, get out of bed. Don't push yourself too much. I'm just, like, saying, if you want to, like, speak up and you get, like, this treatment, staying silent is literally what they want. And not gonna lie, the reason why I can do what I do is because I've been attacked by people like this for 8 years. It started in AFK Arena, when I made the mistake of, like, talking to people about me being trans and being more open about it, and then getting, like, constant DMs of people telling me, you're male, Your chromosomes say that you're male. And it moved on to me being on Twitter. And then there was like the LGB without the T type of thing. I posted a picture of my karambit dilator because it was funny that it looks like a karambit knife. And I spun it around because I thought it was funny. After my bottom surgery, and I had like a huge turf account just like boost this. And be like, oh, these freaks are talking about like sexual pleasure with their dilator. And it's like, this is just women's health. That's just what it is. Dilators were invented for female healthcare, and I have to use them now. And people are in the DMs telling me about how I ruined my perfectly fine testicles. It's just fucking crazy. It was fucking wild. Then the situation with Rev, then the situation with Kirche. Or before that, the situation with fucking cons. That was a wild one as well. The learn your place type of people. Wait, from your VT, learn your place. Can I find this one? This post is from a suspended account! Oh my god. Are we supposed to laugh at them now? I mean, it's in my video. It's an older one. This one, learn your place. Respect those who precede you and learn your place. Makes it so much funnier that it's like a suspended account now. But yeah, and then, you know, we had the Kirche situation, then the Asmongold situation. Asmongold was, that scared me. Not gonna lie. That was one of the situations where it's like, oh, this is bigger now. This is way bigger now than I anticipated. Don't tell her to learn her place. She's bottom. You can't be afraid of a human cockroach, Nera. I mean, it's not him personally. It's like his platform that he has. Everybody hates